Sometimes beauty is a curse on this world. It keeps us from seeing who the real monsters are. The words of a fictional serial killer could not have been more true in what's become known as one of Germany's most twisted and vicious crimes. Behind eyes that seduced and a come-hither smile lay a twisted personality intent on destroying another for selfish gain. It was a homicide like no other, something one would only find between the pages of a good thriller novel or on the silver screen of Hollywood. For one person, it was a crime committed in an act of desperation. For the victim, it was simply trusting and believing in the goodness of others. But what possessed the killer to commit such a brutal and senseless murder? Close to midnight on August 16, 2022, the Bavarian police received a frantic call from the parents of German beauty blogger Sharaban K. She told her parents that she was traveling to Munich to meet with her ex-husband. When she failed to return home and failed to answer or return any of their calls, her parents feared for her safety and set out to look for her themselves. They discovered her Mercedes abandoned in a residential parking lot near the Danube River. In the back seat was a body. Police arrived and cordoned off the area as her parents stood back watching the unreal scene unfold. Police opened the door to reveal a gruesome sight. It was the body of a young woman who had been stabbed so severely her face had been disfigured. Blood had soaked into the seats and carpet of the car. Once the body was removed, paramedics attempted to resuscitate the young woman, but it was far too late. Sharaban's parents were able to identify her. Although they could not make out her features due to the violence of the stabbing, her dark hair and physique were unmistakable. A quick check of the number plates confirmed the identity of the victim. Police released a statement telling the press that a young woman had been found murdered and it appeared to be a violent crime. The German press released her first name only, as is customary with German law procedure regarding a homicide investigation, alongside with a picture of Sharaban K. According to reports, 23-year-old Sharaban K lived with her parents in the Bavarian capital of Munich. She is of German-Iraqi descent and, as stated in media reports, had previously been married. According to media outlets, Sharaban is a beautician by trade and often blogged about her work. German authorities did not divulge too much of her personal life to the media, but it's alleged that she spent much of her time on social media. Investigators at the crime scene allegedly discovered several knives, none of which were the actual weapon used. They also realized that the murder had taken place somewhere else and the body had been dumped in the back seat of the car before it was abandoned in the parking lot. Investigators searched the surrounding wooded area for clues, but nothing was found, not even the murder weapon. An autopsy was performed on the young woman, and it was revealed that she'd been stabbed a total of 50 times. There were no other injuries to her body, and she'd not been assaulted. Although her parents had already identified her, the investigators required a more concrete result. Blood samples and fingerprints were taken for DNA testing and identification. Within 2 days, the results were back. Police were preparing to begin investigations into who could have wanted Sharaban dead as they began to look through the autopsy reports. However, in a shocking turn of events, investigators discovered that nothing was what it seemed to be. The twist in this case was so unexpected and surreal that it left everyone speechless. The body was not that of Sharaban. Her parents, although relieved, were even more confused. For both them and the investigators, the question was obvious. Who was this girl, and how was she related to Sharaban? The victim was identified as 23-year-old Khadidja O. She was an Algerian-born beauty blogger who lived in Heilbronn, over 100 miles from Munich. Investigators have not revealed much about her personal life. What is known is that she used social media platforms as a means to promote herself in the beauty industry and created a fan following for her beauty blog. With this mind-boggling discovery, the entire line of investigation had changed. Police were now looking at Sharaban as a possible suspect in Khadidja's murder. The police had released a statement about the missing woman on August 16, 2022, and they received several tips and reports about a woman who was seen in and around Ingolstadt who shared an uncanny resemblance to the murdered woman. These were brushed off as rumors initially, but once the DNA report proved that it was not Sharaban who'd been murdered, they began looking into these sightings closely. Sharaban had been caught on CCTV footage on August 17, 2022, the day after the body was found, at a local pizzeria. After viewing the footage, police questioned the staff and owner and discovered that she'd been seen with a man in the days following the discovery of Khadidja's body. They also learned that the man was a local. More interviews with witnesses led them to the apartment of Shakir K., a 23-year-old Kosovian national living in Ingolstadt and the alleged lover of Sharaban. As it happened, the crime scene was not very far from the apartment complex of Shakir. Investigators tracked Shakir to his apartment, and there they found both him and Sharaban and arrested them on August 19, 2022. The couple were questioned by investigators regarding their involvement in the murder of Khadidja. By then, investigators had already followed up on Khadidja's online profile and discovered that she'd befriended Sharaban on Instagram back in the summer of 2022. There had been numerous chats between the two women, but what was of particular interest to the police was Sharaban's constant request to meet in person and the uncanny resemblance between both women. Investigators then began looking into Sharaban's online profile. A team of digital forensic analysts were able to match her picture and several fake accounts on various social media platforms. It became clear that Sharaban and her partner Shakir had been scouring the internet trying to find lookalikes. They had allegedly made contact with 5 different women, all of whom rejected their requests to meet in person. Investigators questioned the couple over a period of time, and they remained in custody from August 2022. In January 2023, police finally revealed to German newspaper The Bild that Sharaban was looking for a doppelganger to use in a fake murder plot. According to reports, Sharaban had been going through a difficult patch with her family and was desperate to find a way out. She intended to go into hiding and find a lookalike who she could use to fake her own death so her family would not search for her. Investigators described her actions as selfish and morally depraved. Khadidja had been the unlucky woman who fell for Sharaban's deception. According to police, Sharaban allegedly posed as the German rapper Lune and invited Khadidja to star in an upcoming music video. Uncertain about the invitation, Khadidja was able to make contact with the rapper and left a voice message that said, "I hope you can see it and answer me because I'm very, very unsure. It would be really cool if you could tell me if it's real or fake." The rapper responded telling Khadidja, "It's fake, sister. Don't answer." When this failed, Sharaban made Khadidja an offer she couldn't refuse, a set of beauty products she was known for using often. Investigators then put together all the puzzle pieces and developed a theory of how the couple lured Khadidja to her death. Sharaban lied to her parents about having to meet with her ex-husband. Then she left home on the morning of August 16, 2022, and met with Shakir in Ingolstadt. From there, the two drove to Khadidja's home in Heilbronn. Afterwards, they all drove back to Ingolstadt, but stopped a few miles away in a forested area where they lured Khadidja out of the car before stabbing her over 50 times. They paid particular attention to her face in order to disfigure Khadidja, hoping she wouldn't be so easily recognized. After stabbing her to death, they pushed her body into the back seat of the car and drove back to Ingolstadt. They abandoned the vehicle in a parking lot near the residential area, hoping it would be found and that their plan could finally go ahead. Unbeknownst to them, investigators looked for more than just facial features to identify a victim of homicide. After almost 5 months of being kept in custody on suspicion of homicide without bail, Sharaban and Shakir were served warrants of arrest on January 26th and 27th, 2023 respectively, and were charged with first-degree murder in the death of Khadidja O. The couple both celebrated their 24th birthdays behind bars, and if found guilty, would likely be celebrating their remaining birthdays in prison. Police spokesperson Andreas Eschele said the burden of proof was overwhelming. The murder weapon has still not been found, but the burden of proof is overwhelming. The victim was killed with more than 50 stab wounds, and her face was badly injured. "This was brutal to the extreme," he said. Eschele added that it was a case that required skill as it wasn't normal in any sense. It was an extraordinary case that required all the investigators' skills. "We don't have a case like this every day, especially with such a spectacular twist. On the day we found the body, we did not expect it to develop like this, he said. For Shahriban's parents, their relief at discovering their daughter alive was short-lived once they realized the selfish and depraved motive for taking an innocent life. Following the news of the murder, rapper Lune released a message to her fans. Khadidja was contacted again with a lure attempt. This time it worked because she believed in the good in people. Today's case not only highlights the dangers of social media, but also that evil can hide behind a beautiful face. It also serves as a reminder to anyone who uses social media to always be on their guard and be wary of making friends online. So, what are your thoughts on today's case? What could have driven Shahriban to take such extreme action to escape her family? What do you think made Khadidja believe that Shahriban wasn't harmful? Have you been in a similar situation that seemed full of red flags? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, be safe and take care.